My name is Peter Reitzes. I'm a person who stutters, and I'm also a speech pathologist. I'm here today to talk about a few speech tools that I use to help me with my stuttering. Please note that this video is not speech therapy and is not intended to be speech therapy, but is simply a description of a few speaking strategies that have helped me. Oh, also note, I spent years of my life learning to be open about my stuttering, using voluntary stuttering to reduce the fears of stuttering, and doing what we call avoiding avoidance, which means instead of choosing silence, I chose to speak. Sometimes I spoke with a stutter, and sometimes I used a speech tool to manage the stuttering, just as I showed you now. We call that a pull-out. Okay, so today I want to talk to you about two speech tools I use to manage my own stuttering. First speech tool today, pausing. Pausing is a tool that I'm demonstrating now. Pausing is when you place space or pauses between every couple of words. This strategy is also referred to as chunking or phrasing. Pausing is used to reduce the frequency of stuttering. Now, as I said before, I'm very open about stuttering, and I think stuttering's okay. However, I also like to stutter less. So when I am having a very difficult stuttering day, I go into, or I should say I enter into a speaking situation planning to put some pauses between every couple of words. This is kind of like James Earl Jones or even Mr. Rogers. Or think of your pastor or your rabbi or your priest. These public speakers tend to speak like I'm speaking now. They're not speaking like a train out of control like this. They're speaking by placing space between every couple of words. Now, on those days that I stutter a lot or I'm having a lot of trouble managing my stuttering, I tend to use more pausing. And then there are many days where I just use a little bit of pausing or no pausing at all. Now, as I said, pausing has helped me to reduce the frequency or how often I stutter. But sometimes, or plenty of the time, I still do stutter. So another tool I use a lot is a tool called a pull-out, or with children I might call this a smooth out or a stretch out. A pull-out is simply when you get stuck on a word, like I'm showing you now, and you smoothly or gently work through the stutter. So instead of stuttering like that and going into my old secondary habits, I choose to stutter just using my mouth and to work through the stutter. When I first started doing this tool, it dawned on me that at times I would get stuck so hard in a block that I couldn't think of what I had to do to get through the stutter. And then it occurred to me that when I stutter on a word, let's take a word like baby. I stutter on the word baby. Well, I have to do something to get from the B to the A. So I pull out of it by simply dropping my jaw or opening my mouth. Baby. So I'm really doing two things. I'm mentally thinking about how I have to get to that next sound. And then I make my mouth, or my articulators, my tongue, my jaw, my mouth, my vocal folds, do what I want them to do. So, like for example, I just got stuck there on vocal folds, as I did again. If you're a stutterer, you know that happens a lot. So what I do is I vocal folds. I open my mouth. Now, sometimes I get stuck on what people call vowel onset words, like take the word at, where I get stuck with an open mouth posture. Well, I know to pull out of or complete the word, I have to make the T sound. I have to raise my tongue up so the T touches the roof of my mouth. So It's sort of a mental pullout, but it's also a physical pullout too. Again, I got stuck on the F, which is a tough sound for me sometimes. So physical. I have to actually open my mouth and open my lips. Physical. The best way this has all been described to me is by one of my young students, he was 8 or 9, who said to me that pausing is what he does to reduce how often he stutters. And when he does have a block, he tries to pull out of the block to smooth it out. And that's exactly what I do. Again, this is not intended as speech therapy, but is simply an explanation and a demonstration of a few of the things I have done to deal with my own stuttering. Thanks for listening. If you want to know a little bit more about pausing, I have written a few articles on this topic at the Journal of Stuttering Therapy, Advocacy, and Research. Just go to journalofstuttering.com. Also, my co-host and I have spoken many times about speech tools during our Stutter Talk podcast. Go to stuttertalk.com to listen. You will see or hear that we have discussed voluntary stuttering, pullouts, pausing, fluency shaping, which we sometimes call exaggeration, breathing, and much more.